Welcome to the New York State Education Department webpage for the Computer Science and Digital Fluency Learning Standards. In order to navigate to here, you can click on the link within your course or just Google NYSED CSDF and it will be the first option that comes up. You're probably going to want to book this page either by clicking the star up in the Omnibox or saving it however you typically save web pages. This page is constantly updated with information that you need to help roll out these standards. Now, in this course, we're really going to be taking a look at how the computer science and digital fluency standards look inside your English language arts classroom. So this is going to just be a very quick overview of what's on the page. If you haven't spent any time with the standards, you may want to go and take the courses that break down each of the concept areas so you have a better foundation as far as what they look like in action. So let's take a look and see what's on this page. You'll notice that there is an image of the 5 concept areas. We're going to dive into each of these concept areas over the next few modules and look at what it could look like in your classroom. Each of these modules is broken down further into the sub-concept areas. And again, we will spend some time taking a peek at those as we go through this course. Underneath the image, you're going to see a couple of bullets that are super important for you to know. The first one is the PDF of the standards. You can either print this out, so you can highlight and annotate, or open it up in a Cami, or just pull it up on the web page, whatever works for you. Below that, the standards is the Glossary of Terms. One of the largest ways to make sure, one of the most important ways to make sure that these standards are in our classrooms is by taking a look at these digital fluency standards, their Glossary of Terms, and think about getting that common vocabulary as you go from kindergarten all the way up through. Underneath the computer science glossary is an Excel spreadsheet for these standards. This is a great one for you to use if you want to consider how they align to your curriculum that you're already doing in the classroom or your set of standards. This is a great tool to use if you're doing curriculum mapping or you're determining which departments are responsible for each particular app or each individual standard. Below the Excel spreadsheet is a breakdown of each of the standards by grade band. So for example, if you teach 10th grade English, you're going to want to grab the one that says Computer Science and Digital Fluency Standards for 9 through 12. These are great to take a peek at because they're just at a glance, but just know since they are at a glance, they don't contain the concept area clarifying statements, which can be very helpful in you understanding what the standard is actually asking. Below the grade bands are your standard examples. Here you're going to see some ideas that educators across the state have put together to help you see what it could look like in action already in your class. So this is going to break it down by grade band, which is very helpful. This course is really going to look at that K-12 spectrum. So we're going to show you some primary, some middle, and some high-end things that you can do for each of the standards. Below the examples are, again, those standards in at a glance, so a little bit more or a little less detailed than the ones that we had above. And then the final thing you see on here are educator resources. Throughout the state, there are different grants that were funded for Smart Starts for districts to roll out these standards. This is an ongoing project over the next few years, so these resources you see on this Smart Start grant, program page are really going to be something you're going to want to keep going back to because you're going to be able to get resources, ideas, ways that you can roll these standards out into your districts. It's going to show you what 17 different districts are doing or more that are doing to roll out these standards. Scrolling back up to the top, over on the left-hand side on this page, you're going to see that you have some blue links. The first one is the page we're on. The second one is the implementation timeline and roadmap, and I'm just going to click and open that for a moment. These standards need full implementation in all classrooms K-12 by September of 2024. If you back up to September of 23, so next year, we're looking for initial implementation within your computer science courses that you already have. And for the rest of us, it's continuing that capacity building. We are currently in the capacity building stage, which is exactly where you should be as far as curriculum development, gaining those resources, and any professional learning that is needed for the standards. So you're in the right place. Below that timeline is a roadmap. You'll have both a PDF version and an editable version. This is going to help you see who are your stakeholders in each of the process or each parts of the process as we roll these out. So it's really is going to help you with the different levels of implementation, from capacity building to initial implementation, and then again to full implementation. Continuing on the left, we have the standards development process. This is going to walk you through how these standards were developed. There was an authoring group that met in Albany in 2019 and was able to start taking a peek at these standards or building these actual standards. That then went out for public comment, and then they brought in another authoring team that looked at the standards to make sure that they were scaffolded correctly, especially at the younger grades. So if you want to really dive in and learn how that has happened, take a moment and take a peek at this page. Underneath the process, you're going to see the FAQs. These are the typical things that people ask when thinking about these standards. The big one being implementation. If you click open, you'll see some great information as far as how these standards should be implemented in our classrooms. So you'll going to want to maybe pause the video, read through these so you have a better understanding of some of the things that you might have questions about. Underneath the FAQs, you have the statement of continued eligibility. We mentioned those courses that you need to do as far as the credit-bearing courses. If you want to see what the courses are, you can take a peek at this webpage and scroll almost to the bottom where it says acceptable computer science courses. And they're going to give you some information on this page about the statement of continued eligibility to be able to teach without that certification and be grandfathered in for this 10 years that is listed. So if you have any questions on that, this is your web page to take a peek at it. Below this statement of continued eligibility is another link that's going to bring to the same place as the bottom of that main page, those Smart Start artifacts. So this is where you're going to take a look at those Smart Start artifacts for each of the different districts that are listed here. So if you click on any of the links that you see, for example, the Monroe BOCES one, it's going to open up to a web page where you're going to see some resources for the standards. So that's everything that I'd like to go over on this page. Please take a moment and familiarize yourself with it if this is the first time you've taken a peek at it, or if you just want to review or find some information, you'll have all of that information on these pages.